In this video, we are going to make a slab house, and I am starting with the template and making the template. So this is like a pattern for your house. So I'm using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I'm folding it in half hamburger style and just kind of tearing it so I have two pieces. That way I know that the height is no longer than 8.5 inches. So that's how tall you can make it. You can make it shorter. And then I'm just labeling front and back template and sides. And this way I know what the template's for. And the ×2 means how many pieces of slab clay I'm going to cut out of that template. So I need a front and a back, so I need 2 of those, and I need 2 sides. Then I'm going to start doing my designing, and I should have already drawn out on my piece of paper kind of what I want. And here I'm just kind of experimenting, and I don't really like any of these shapes. And so it's okay. I can just turn it over and figure out another shape. I want it to be kind of wonky and bendy and lyrical and whimsical. And I wasn't really getting the shape symmetrical, and I wanted it symmetrical, which means the even on both sides. So I'm just doing like I would cut out a paper heart, right? Where you fold it in half and then you cut through both sides. And then that way I know the left and the right side is symmetrical. So I'm just cutting out my template, and you notice I don't use the full 8.5 length, and that's fine. You can use the 8.5 length or you cannot. The other thing I need to pay attention to is that I have a not flat roof. So on the front and back, I didn't do the roof part, so that means on my sides I need to make that roof part not flat. One of the two templates has to have a not flat part. Our sides can be 3 inches or less, so you could do 2.5 inches wide, 2 inches wide, 1.5 inches wide. I made mine 3 here, just so that I could have the full width. You don't want to make them any wider. It just gets really, really big. And then here is where I'm making my peak. So I just divided the 3 inches in half, and then I went down 2 inches, and this is how I'm going to have my peaked roof, like a triangle. But you can have it be like a rounded off triangle, or kind of dome shape, or just diagonal from down at the bottom to up at the top. However you do it, one of these templates needs to have a not flat roof for it to work out. And once I cut these out, I'm going to make sure to put my name on it, and then I have my template ready to go for the project. I also like to mark sometimes like where the bottom or the top is, so that I'm always using the same sides, especially on this one, so that it fits together in the end, because it's like a puzzle piece that we have to fit together. All right, now I'm going to go to my slab, and I just rolled out a slab and I am smoothing it out with the card. And you should know from prior projects that the smoothing out takes away the canvas texture. It also compresses the clay, and that makes the clay stronger, and it aligns the particles of clay a little bit. This is really important. Please always smooth out all that texture so you can put your own texture on, and this is part of your craftsmanship. Then I'm going to take my templates, and actually I was just kind of laying out where I'm going to go, and I want to add texture. So for this one I'm using a texture mat, but you can use so many things to add texture. I'm going to use this texture mat for the sides, and it's kind of like wood, so I'm doing kind of a tree theme here, and I'm just rolling that texture in. And I sped up the video a little bit just so that this isn't super long. But you can see that I just line up where I want the design to go, and I just cut out my template. And I'm not super careful, but I am pretty careful. And I just liked the design, the upside down on the first one, so that's what I did. And then I'm going to take away the extra pieces and move this off to the side. I always ball up my extra clay to keep it wet. Okay, and I'm going to use that extra slab for something else. I have another piece of a slab here that I'm going to do for my front and back. I noticed it was ripping, so I just ripped it apart. Okay, and I'm adding texture first and then cutting out the slabs, the template. I just rolled it on to kind of so I know where to add the texture, because this time I'm not rolling a full mat. I am going to add leaf texture and kind of not random, I'm actually placing them in the places that I think that I want them to go over the front and back. So it's almost like leaves are covering the side of the house. So I'm just adding my texture on first and then cutting out the slabs with the template. Ball it all up so that it stays nice and wet, put it off to the side. I can use it for later. All right, so and then I needed a bottom. I didn't think about the bottom, but it's the same width as the side, so I can just cut an extra one for the bottom and also for the roof tiles if I want to. Okay, I'm going to start here with my slip, and I'm always going to start with the back, and I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put that down so that it's stable, and you want to put on the sides and the bottom first and leave the front for the very last. So the way that we do this, anytime we attach, I'm just kind of cutting it here, but anytime we attach, we need to score both sides and then add slip and then put them together with some pressure. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to score both sides, really heavily score, and add slip. So here I go. And once I get them put together, I kind of put a little pressure on it and smooth out the outside, and then I need to make a coil. And so you guys have done a coil project if you're in my class, so you've already experienced rolling coils. So we need to roll a nice coil. Probably should have rolled it on the tabletop and not on the canvas, but that's okay. Just quickly rolling a coil, and I'm going to put it right there. And so I'm just adding a little slip. And as I put it in there, I'm going to press it in, cut off the excess. I'm just pressing, and I'm supporting the outside with my thumbs there. Just, oops, it tore a little bit, but that's okay. I can just put it in, back in. The inside of the house does not have to be super beautiful. So I'm just going to blend this coil in with my popsicle stick, blending down and blending up. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. Some students make it really beautiful inside, and like you can peer in the windows and see a little scene, but that is not part of the requirements. That's like over and above extra. So I added my bottom, and then I'm going to add my top here, or I'm sorry, my side. So I'm going to add my side here, and I want to match up the corner of that roof with the top, and then just cut off any excess. And so I'm kind of bowing it there, and then I can cut it off so I know how much I need. I just made the sides extra long just in case. And if you want to add any sort of window or anything, now would be the time that you would do that. So you always want to cut out the pieces before, cut out the holes. So the windows, the doors, before you add it onto the house, because it'd be a lot more difficult to do after. At least that's my opinion. So I'm cutting out a leaf shape for a window. And sometimes I use these cutouts in other places, so sometimes I save them. I want to round the corners, and um, you can add shutters. You can add all sorts of things around windows to make them special or add detail. I think I'm going to add like a little coil, so I'm just going to score a little coil that I have on to kind of look like maybe a little bird burrowed this hole, kind of like a birdhouse or like a little roof to the window. You'll notice that I scored it on there, and I'm scoring the coil as well. So whenever you score both sides. I already added the slip, but I could probably add some more, and then just kind of pushing it down and smoothing it in. So a lot of times I like to use a paintbrush, a clean paintbrush in my slip water to kind of seal the edges where maybe I can't blend them out. I still want that ridge there, but I'm just going to use a clean paintbrush to seal everything down and get any little goobers out. So that's what that paintbrush is for. All right, and so now I'm just going to score and slip that on, and I have to score both the side and the bottom there where it's going to attach. And I'm just using that extra clay to kind of support it. And I'm going to add my coil on the inside. So it's the same process for all of the sides, right? So I'm kind of just tipping it up here so you can see I'm just adding the coil in, blending it out. So I've got my bottom and I got my sides, and I'm going to start adding the front. The front is important because I'm not going to be able to add in the coils. So I let it kind of dry throughout this process, and I'm just adding the details around the front door and the front window and adding the door in. And then I'm going to slip and score it on, and I'm just going to really press down and make sure that it stays, because I won't be able to reach in and get that coil very well. And last but not least is the roof. And so I didn't make a roof template, so I'm going to just use the dimensions from my other templates. And so I'm just measuring like the width from the front, and just making some roof tiles, scoring and slipping those on, using the, I added texture to them too. I don't know if before or after. I think I did that out of order. So this project really is testing how well you can score and slip and attach, and adding those coils is part of that process. It's really important. I know you can hear me when I say that. And I hope you really like it. I always add something on the top, either along the ridge line or along like where the ridge meets the house, just something at the top. Lots of details I hope you add in. And I really hope you make something that you love, that you would want to put on your shelf at home. So I'll let you keep watching the video, and when it's done, I hope you have fun making your own house.